Nokia Lumia 1020, the ultimate phone camera with over 40 megapixels. With a big sensor, pure view technology and size optics, this has always been the best phone camera in my eyes. But now, the iPhone 6s is here, and the camera
Wait. That's not the 6s, that's the S6. Samsung S6.
What? Oh. S6, 6s, S6. Ah.
There you go.
Okay, sorry guys. So, with a 12 megapixel sensor, internal 4K recording and 120 frames per second slow motion full HD, this is a big step up from the latest iPhone 6. But this is just on paper. How good is it in real life? And has the technology come so far that this phone can replace my 4K GH4 camera, which is $1,400? Let's figure it out. For this test, the iPhone will compete in 3 levels. Level 1. Will it beat the Nokia Lumia 1020 when it comes to image quality and low light performance? Level 2. The Canon 700D. This affordable DSLR is good for filmmaking, but will the iPhone beat this one as well? Then, for the 3rd level, the Panasonic GH4. Will the 4K and the 120 frames per second full HD inside the iPhone 6s Plus beat the 4K and 96 frames per second full HD inside the GH4? We'll see. First off, the iPhone 6s Plus versus the Nokia Lumia 1020. Since the Nokia Lumia 1020 has its own camera grip, I'm going to use that to easily attach it to a tripod. And yeah, you can get it in a different color. To attach the iPhone to a tripod, I'm using the shark clip from camera.com. So first off, video quality during daylight. But first, remember to turn on the best playback settings in the YouTube player to get the most out of this test. This is shot with the Lumia 1020, with a max resolution of Full HD. And then it's the iPhone with the 4K. Wow. The Lumia 1020 has a more contrasted image and less dynamic range. Let's try to lower the contrast in post. Now it looks more similar, but still the highlights gets burned out on the Nokia. On the iPhone we can see the details in the highlights. The Nokia has no chance to beat the iPhone when it comes to sharpness and dynamic range in terms of video quality. Now let's test the zoom on both cameras. Since the iPhone has a digital zoom, the image gets more noisy and the depth of field remains the same. The big sensor on the Nokia Lumia 1020 gives you a shorter depth of field. It's more noticeable when zooming in. The background is more blurry and gives you a little bit more film look. The Nokia has also just digital zoom, but because of the bigger sensor, you get less noise when zooming. The macro on the iPhone 6s is slightly better than the Nokia. Both cameras have an optical stabilizer, but surprisingly, the iPhone stabilizer is significantly better than the Nokia. Okay, this is a microphone test, and now it's the iPhone 6s Plus. What do you think, Eskil?
So far so good.
Yeah? And now it's the Nokia Lumia 1020. Maybe the same sound, I don't know. But I can see the microphone, so maybe it's a bit better. What do you think?
We'll see.
We'll see. Thank you. The microphone on the iPhone is better as well. So it started to get late, and it was time to test the low light performance. The iPhone was still going strong, but we could notice a bit of noise even though it was only dusk. The Nokia didn't get the same amount of noise. At night we could clearly see the noise. And also during the dusk when filming inside. Again, the Nokia did a better job in low light. But what about capturing still photos? This is shot with the iPhone with a maximum resolution of 12 megapixels. And this is with the Nokia with a maximum resolution of 34 megapixels when taking stills in 16:9 widescreen. Even though it has a 41 megapixel sensor, it won't use the whole sensor when taking photos. But 34 megapixels is still impressive. Now let's take a look when zooming in digitally 500 times. Looks like the iPhone is almost as sharp as the Nokia, even though it got less pixels. And as you can see, the dynamic range on the iPhone is also more impressive. You can see more details in the highlights. How is the low light performance when it comes to photos? Again, the iPhone struggles a bit when it comes to low light. Even though it does a decent job, the Lumia 1020 has the pure V technology which makes the low light better. In addition, you can actually capture raw photos with Nokia, which makes it possible to adjust the white balance, exposure and other stuff in post. That's really handy for photographers. So, as a conclusion, the iPhone 6s Plus has better video quality during daylight, it has more dynamic range and a better image stabilizer. The microphone is better and it got more features like time-lapse, slow motion and a bunch of apps to do creative stuff. Compared to the Lumia 1020, it is not as good in low light and it's much more expensive. The cheapest iPhone 6s Plus with 60GB storage costs $749, while the Nokia is twice as cheap and has 32GB of storage. But the winner of this level is the iPhone 6s Plus. In addition to its great camera, the phone is amazing as well. So let's head over to the next level. The iPhone 6s Plus versus the affordable DSLR Canon 700D. Which one will give the film look? Some people think it's stupid to compare a phone camera against a DSLR, but there are actually some easy tricks out there to make the phone camera look more filmatic. By using a shoulder rig or tripod, your shots get more stable and will definitely remove some of the phone camera look. The next step is the sound. DSLRs has some really good alternatives when it comes to external microphones, like the Rode VideoMic Pro. You are able to buy microphones to the iPhone as well, but they are usually not that good. My tip is to buy the Rode SmartLive Plus, get yourself an app like the Audio Recorder Pro to a second phone, connect the microphone to the person talking and sync the audio in post. Then the person can move freely around without having any cables connected to the camera. Woohoo! Yeah! And then with some color grading and a 235 letterbox, your look has changed a lot. So just by doing that, you get a more stable shot, better sound, better color, and yeah, more filmatic. You can even attach the phone to a handheld Steadicam like this cheap Steadicam called Yelangu and create smooth movements.
Come along.
Okay, that's enough. So, let's start the comparison. This is shot with a 700D during daylight. And this is with iPhone 6s Plus. Look at the amazing difference. This is a dynamic range test, and it looks like the 700D is slightly better. You can see more details in the highlights. Again, the sensor on the iPhone isn't that big, and will not give you a shallow depth of field. The 700D, however, gives you a short depth of field, especially when zooming in, and therefore more film look. And now it was time to test the low-light performance. Even though the video quality on the iPhone is much more sharper, it gets more noise in low light. And again, the shallow depth of field is more filmatic on the 700D. As the video, the pictures looks much better on the Canon 700D in low light. Even though you can't change lenses on the iPhone, you can add lenses to make creative shots. So Eskil, what do we got here?
Here's a tiny 18mm and a tiny 60mm. And with the right mount, you can just attach it to your iPhone to get some really nice and creative shots.
Even though the iPhone won't get better in low light with these lenses, you can film in a more creative way, and that's a plus.
Well, Anders, even though the battery got pretty quickly exhausted and you don't have the same depth of field, it actually stood up pretty nicely against the 700D. But can its 4K and even slow motion compare to the GH4?
I hope not, but we can do a test. I'm just crossing my fingers that the GH4 will win, because I just bought the camera and it's quite expensive, but we can do a test.
Don't worry, Anders, it's still a okay camera.
So, the final level, the iPhone 6s Plus versus the Panasonic GH4 with 4K video and 96 frames per second full HD slow motion. First off, the Panasonic GH4 4K video in daylight. And then the iPhone 6s Plus. It's actually hard to see any difference. Since the GH4 has the opportunity to shoot with Cine-like D, a low contrasted picture profile, I will gain the contrast to make it more similar to the iPhone's footage. And then let's zoom in digitally 300 times on the GH4. And then on the iPhone. Wow, it's quite even. It looks like the GH4 got a little bit more details and higher dynamic range. Yeah, a lot more dynamic range. Just look at the details in the highlights compared to the iPhone. And again, the bigger sensor gives you a shorter depth of field. The GH4 has both manual and automatic exposure settings. To get the best look on the video, you should adjust the exposure manually. To do so on the iPhone, simply drag your finger up or down. So, when it comes to the filmatic look, the GH4 wins. But how well is the slow motion? Let's start with iPhone with 120 frames per second full HD. and then the GH4 with maximum 96 frames per second Full HD. It's no doubt that the GH4 slow motion looks sharper, but it's really cool to have the slow motion function on the iPhone, and you will definitely have a lot of fun playing with it. You can even shoot 240 frames per second in 720p. When comparing the still photos, it's the same as the 700D. The GH4 gives you more details in low light. When it comes to a conclusion of which camera is best, it really depends on your needs and how you're going to use the camera. Do you want to save a lot of money and have a good phone camera? The Lumia 1020 is a good choice. If you want to achieve the film look for an affordable price without needing 4K or slow motion, the Canon 700D is great. And if you are an indie filmmaker and want great cinematic quality in 4K, the GH4 is a really good choice. And if you want a super nice phone with a really impressive camera, the iPhone 6s is perfect. The quality of the video and photos captured during daylight was simply fantastic, and I can't wait to see what else the technology will bring us in the future. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to stay tuned with our latest videos. Bye bye!